arcade bar place or whatever. We were talking about dating in your 30s, 40s, whatever, and Jay was telling me like, so this is what's like now, and he was like, you're showing me messages, and then some people use it as sort of a front as like escort service, to where like
that's gonna be hard to
a
wade
few
through.
messages in, they're like, well, yeah, for X amount of dollars, we'll do this, and he showed me, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, is that like super frequent or no?
The dating apps are widely used as advertisements for personal services.
I know my brother, his problem with bots. Like, you think you're in a conversation with someone, and it turns out it's a robot the whole time.
I just saw a thing. This new AI bot is getting a lot of heat right now because it's basically like, I forget what it's called, but it's this new AI friend. They call it your personal friend, but it's this. It looks like an anime chick, and I think maybe they have other skins you can select, like guy or whatever. But it's like it responds to you with AI. Like if you're in a conversation, you'll have a conversation with it, and I think you can simulate stuff with it based on the conversation.
How would that be interesting to anybody if you knew it was a bot to have a fake sex conversation?
Okay, so as Christians,
a fake intimate conversation.
As Christians,
if you have to
we are taught that you're never really alone. That God's always got your back and is always by your side. You can have a best friend in Jesus and talk to Jesus. You can get on your knees and commune, whatever. And I've talked about this kind of stuff with Joel before because his big bout with suicide. If you're not a Christian, especially, I don't think that comes part and parcel with being a human, that you just automatically assume you're not alone. So I think sometimes Christians can't really fathom the depths of loneliness. Like if you really,
I was wondering
really feel
what
lonely.
Being alone had to do with whether or not you
Well,
have
you were saying,
relations
why
with
would
the
that
bot.
even be interesting to you? Like,
Yeah.
Joel told me he's got a hamster in his apartment, and he said the reason he's got a hamster in his apartment, he's like, I said, do you take it out, you pet it, put it on your chest, or whatever, or something like that, and pet it and stuff? He said, no, he hates being fooled with. Like, I just clean his cage and give him food and stuff. And I was like, well, okay, well, that's good news
Just
for me
to have
because I don't
something
like
living
rodents
around.
that freak me out. But he's like, there's something about having something living when you come in your apartment that does something to you psychologically. That's good, Right. So when you begin to understand, I guess, when we begin to understand the depths of loneliness, I think that's where things like an AI bot that responds to you and simulates a conversation makes you not so lonely. I do think that's where some of this is going to, though. And I think as a Christian, my programming tells me that it's to fill the hole that God is designed for. Like we're designed to have communion and fellowship with God. We're designed to get into a body of believers and plug into a church and plug into a body and be part of that and have that atmosphere, have that culture, that we're designed for that. And then I do think that a lot of the world's, some of the engineers and people in these higher places can recognize in themselves the loneliness and sort of kind of an empty feeling, and they recognize the need for it. So I do think that, that's the whole goal is to be able to purchase a friend, eventually.
I think there's
for multiple reasons,
and you don't have to fear the rejection.
Oh yeah. I bet it's empowering at that point if you let yourself slip into that like somebody that just is hanging on your every word.
Do you remember that movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix?
I was thinking about it, just couldn't think of the name, but yeah.
Man, that was a good movie.
I never saw it.
It was a really good movie.
But I've seen a lot of like YouTube like analysis of that movie and the screenwriting and all that, how it was really good. So I feel like I've watched it, but I haven't.
But he was definitely in an intimate relationship with
Siri
AI
or whatever.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I do think that's kind of where a lot of that is headed.
That's scary. What about those AIs that people ask questions and they always basically say, we're here to kill everybody?
They get them talking. And have you seen the conversations where they get the two computers talking to each other and they just keep going and going and going and back and forth because they're responding to each other and they don't know that they're a robot back and forth? They always wind up going to God. eventually they, do you believe in God? Like, it just happens because of the conversation. Like, I don't know what the deal is, but they always wind up going to that.
Isn't it like because that's one of the more common questions on the internet?
Maybe.
Maybe
It's
so.
obviously something to do with the algorithm, but if they leave two computers in the room, eventually the conversation goes to God.
Well, I just want to know how much of that is just someone sat back there and wrote out part of that conversation. Like, if this is what is asked, this is what you say, which is irritating and not real AI to me, you know?
Yeah. It's always keep being awesome because that's how God made you.